All right, welcome to another tweaking video. We're going to try to make some improvements here on my older 11 by 17 pieces. I don't know if anything can be done with some of these. On a couple of them, though, I thought they were lacking something significant, even if it's kind of a small feature in terms of area. But I thought I can improve them a little bit, given time and I don't know, whatever. I don't know if I'd call it reflection because I haven't necessarily looked at these pieces, but I don't know. I probably could have looked back at these pieces after doing them, maybe the next day and figured, what could possibly be done with them. Okay, so that being said, let's just get into it right here. The first piece right here has these light beams coming in here. This is really difficult with these really big pieces. They have been spray sealed and there's a lot of glare on them, but just the sheer area of them. My work area is supposed to be like this here on my desk, where my studio lights are positioned, but these pieces are just so big that it's just really difficult to get everything in the light without getting that glare on there. So I apologize for that in advance. But okay, so these have these light beams in here, and they're a little bit dull. They were kind of like that to begin with. I think they were an afterthought. Hello, Linda. But I thought we could potentially go in there. Now, these light beams might have been a little bit stronger before as well, but I've spray sealed it, and that's what happens to really thin layers of pigment ink applied over darker areas like that. Yeah, Linda, it's time to tweak a couple more pieces. Okay, so one of the things about this one that I noticed, can you see that warm-ish glow in there? That's that warm base layer tone amongst this otherwise kind of neutral to cool color scheme. There's a little bit of warmer tones down here in the water with that Caribbean blue probably, but I don't know, this kind of warm glow gives this piece a little bit of character, and you can see it in the areas that are lighter in value where I haven't gone over it with the darker tones. But even in the darker tone areas, see that kind of violet in there. I don't know if you can tell, but see that warmish tinge in there? That's from probably a base layer, I'm guessing of the antique linen distress ink color. So yes, if anyone joins in here, hello to all of you. Let's see, I need a fairly large mask. Going into my trash bin right next to me and grabbing out these pieces. These pieces will work just fine for some masking material here for light beams. You can't get an easier mask for something than light beams, just two pieces of copy paper like that. All right, so with light beams, kind of an oscillation or a transition of the amount of ink used within the beam. So you can go a little bit stronger, less, more, something like that. I didn't want to make these too, overly powerful in here. I seem to recall when doing this one, I probably just added it in towards the end. Just thinking this piece needed a little bit more, I don't know, impact, I guess. Things were looking a little bit too uniform. And when you have a really big piece like this, if something's a little bit too monotonous, it's going to look monotonous in a much bigger area just because of the sheer scale of it. So the mountains and everything like that, I have variation in there, but it just wasn't enough. So I think I added these light beams in to give it a little bit more dimension. Okay, so I've added more in here, okay. That's looking a little bit light like that, but here is that oscillation of kind of a thicker and thinner layer of it. Hello, Jen. How are you? And okay, let's define that one in there a little bit. This is going to get spray sealed again, and when that dries, it's going to get a little more transparent again. So you got to hit it with a little bit more. And that's what I'm going to be doing on this piece. This piece right here, I think what I did too, after I worked on it, I usually don't go into scenes after like a live version. If I did this in a live version, I don't remember. I might not have, but after I'm kind of done with a video, I usually don't go back into pieces, but I think I did on this one because it was... these pieces that I'm going to be going through, these are the only 11 by 17s I've ever done, so... I don't know, it's one of those things, when you're working big like that, it's like, we should probably get it down, you know, get these right here. You know, unless it was like some kind of, I don't know, some kind of like, you know, large format quick card or something like that, where, you know, you're cranking it out and, you know, getting it done in I don't know, whatever, 40 minutes or something like that. You know, the time it takes for a really good, you know, I don't know, quarter-page card or something like that. But I don't know if I've done like a quick card. We'd be able to do a quick card, you know, probably 11 by 17 if we were working with something like the, if there was a holographic printable vinyl, you know, that came in 11 by 17. Those ones would probably get done pretty fast, especially if we're using the Art Foamies versions of the stamps. But until then, you know, large format's probably going to mean, you know, a decent amount of time devoted to that piece. So, I don't know. I don't know. I feel, like I said in the previous couple of videos, I feel compelled to, I don't know, if something could be done to improve them, I feel like, you know, we might as well do that. Okay, so there's my light beams. They're a little bit stronger like that, okay? A little bit more dimensional. But what I've done is I've gone, a lot of these areas in here, there are a lot of highlights. You can see all those little dots down in here with the paint and gel pens. And I think I was working with the larger gel pens at this time too, because I see some larger dots in there. So I think I had the Amoki pens. I don't remember when I made all these types of things. You know, it just, you know, unless it's something real specific like you know, vinyl printable holographic, because I just know that I didn't have that the previous year or something like that. Hello, Diana and Sam Hawkins. Good to see you. All right, so okay, so I've used the larger Emoki pens and white, I think, in here. That's all I can really see. But I thought, one of the things that might be kind of interesting, not going to be interesting for you guys to watch, but, you know, me putting, you know, these little types of highlights, the smaller ones down in these rocks like here, like I did in that previous video with the autumn ones, but I'm not going to, you know, this one's much more of a muted tone color scheme here, so we won't go crazy with it here, because I don't think it'd be appropriate to go like super bright in here and then have the rest of the tone, you know, muted, because the focal point of the whole scene is kind of this area in here, I think, and this is kind of like a secondary area. But you can see those little highlights down there just in white. And I thought, you know, we can bring in a little bit more character to that area. And again, not to draw attention to it, but just to have something different going on here as far as a closer texture. So maybe something like this. You can already see this type of tone is kind of in there, you know what I mean? It's a little bit of a warmer turquoise or something like that. So something like this would kind of be related to it, especially like in this region right in here where it's a little bit yellowed with the that antique linen coming into contact or overlapping that lighter kind of turquoise color. And then of course this one is that, you know, it's a version of that color in here, okay? And then we have this, of course, which, you know, totally relates to, you know, like this color right in here. So again, I didn't have like these pens probably at the time, so I don't think I've ever even used this one. Yeah, it's not even used before. I don't use like the darker tones too often because when I'm using paint pens, they're usually used for kind of more of a highlighting type of application. So yeah, my brighter, darker colors, they've barely been used. Okay, let's see. Let me get this one feeding a little bit. Oh, and I grabbed this one here too. So I don't know, kind of more of that lichen, type of texturing on rocks. I need to take a look at some photographs of lichen. Lichen, I don't know. Lichen, the lichen I know is like more warmer tones, but I thought we'd just go in here and use some of these greens anyway, just because it relates to the color scheme of certain areas of this card here. But anyways, that's what I'm starting off with. I mean, you can use other things that, I don't know, complement your color scheme or something like that. But when I'm starting off with something like this, where I'm not really sure about it, I just start applying. This goes for any media, not just paint pens. But if I'm not sure about something, and as I'm just switching over to another medium, that you're applying to something, I use it in an area where it just kind of blends in with that area. And then I work it into areas where it stands out a little bit more. And that's how I can kind of, I can get the gist of something without making a big commitment to the visibility of a certain medium. So it's like with the, white pigment ink. If I'm adding it light into an area, I start it in the light, then I slowly creep it into the darker area. So it's the same thing with the, like just every medium. Unless I really know that media really well, then I won't do that. But for the most part, I'm pretty conservative as far as my usage goes. Okay, so adding some of this little turquoise down here. I know you probably can't see it, but it's just getting a little bit more textured in here. We have a lot of area in here that's just... there's transitioning tones and everything like that, but to me, it's just... It's monotextural. Okay, that's why I have these rocks down here too, but it can use a little bit more, I don't know, I guess kind of more nuanced detailing, I guess. Something that might not be so apparent upon first inspection, but this is a big piece, so I think if someone got this, they might be looking at it over time, maybe. And if you have these other little things in here that might not be, super visible at first, but they're observed, at some other point, I think it's a good thing. It's like, oh, I didn't see these before. You know what I mean? So you keep giving them something deeper and deeper to, to appreciate about a piece. You know what I mean? As long as it kind of makes sense that it's in there, and just bury something in there. I guess you could, put Waldo in here or something. Okay, so here, that was a little bit of that greenish tinge. Okay, so, and that's in these darker areas. So here, I was going to go real light like this, but let's go a little bit lighter with this one. And I'll add it in some of these lighter areas. Yeah, I'll kind of group it a little bit. It's like almost like or I'll cluster it. It's like what I do with flowers or something like that. I don't want to, add something new to make something kind of more exciting, and then, add it everywhere where it becomes like a monotony of, similar texture. And then you've done the same thing. You've just kind of added another medium, but it didn't really kind of differentiate different parts a little bit. It's just a new common texture over the whole thing. So what we want to do is we want to create a little bit of a, I don't know, different type of patterning here and there. I'll add some of it in some of these darker areas, but not too much. I think it, okay, I mean, I know you can't see this very well, if you can see it at all, but close up here, I think that is doing a decent job on, I don't know, just kind of bringing those rocks or those areas of the rocks to life a little bit. Sorry for the, you know, like I said, this is not a great, let me see, maybe if I take this out here, let me take out the white here. I don't think I need that down here. Let me see if my camera will kind of expose a little bit better for you to see. Okay, this is the green. Very lime green. It's kind of picking up a little bit of a kind of a glowing look. After all, I guess this is kind of a fluorescent green. But those little tones like that look pretty good on here. Okay. And this one stands out a little bit more, or, well, actually quite a bit more, so maybe I'll use it a little bit more sparingly. So I don't know if less is more, but less is more effective, I guess. It makes it more of like a special little highlight in there. Okay, you see that right in there? Okay, so just overall, yeah, you can. I guess the camera's picking this up okay. So there, that's that. See this right in here? It's a little bit more of a kind of a warmer tinge right in there, like that. And it might be too much, I don't know. But when I spray seal this again, just to seal all this in, I'll especially need to spray seal that brilliance white up there again anyway. This area down here, these pens get a little bit more mellow too. They kind of blend in with the background a little bit more. You're down at the taco house, Debbie. Watch at the taco house. What kind of tacos are you getting? I'll take a 2 carnitas and an El Pastor and a carne asada. Linda B wants Linda, do you want like a sesos or something? The brains? Do they have brains? A taco. I have tried brain tacos, but it just you have to get used to that. I didn't finish mine. It was a textural thing. All right, so adding in some of that in that background. I especially added it a little bit right there. I don't know, you see that little greenish highlight there? Okay. See that? Yeah, I think that looks pretty good in there. So this one seems to be pretty good here. And in terms of a color, you know, to apply in here, I think that's kind of, I don't know, it's exciting in a very kind of, you know, geeky, detailed type of way, which is me. You know what I mean? I'm into little details like that. So see these little areas down here? You know, it's, I don't know, maybe they're crawling with little dots now. You know, someone really looks at it closely, but I like that. It just, I don't know, it's just something a little bit more interesting down here. Maybe, like I said, maybe I went a little bit too much with it. If you do, then you just go over it again with some of the, you know, the darker marks again. And let me see something like this, another pen that I probably never used before. Just go over them again, you know what I mean? Then bury some of those really light marks if you did that, right? Or you can go over it with a black pen, I don't know. Something, whatever you want to. Yeah, see, this is a brand new pen right here. You can see the white tip like that, so. I was watching a Netflix show thinking about tacos it's called the Taco Chronicles. It's where they're just going around different areas eating different types of tacos. We like all kinds of tacos, be it authentic or, you know, Taco Bell. we 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 run the gamut. Okay, let's see. Getting there. Okay, there we go. Okay, a little bit more of like a deep aqua green. I'll just throw it right over some of that lighter. Um, all right, whatever, yellow green, fluorescent yellow green, like that. All right, so you get a little bit more of, this textural character down below like that. It's a little bit in the water as well. The water, it's hardly visible. If you just joined in, one of the things I did was I strengthened the light beams a little bit. Looks terrible with all this glare on here. Here's what the scene kind of looks like with all that light glare on there. The one thing with this one that we did, I was chatting with Linda B here that's on, but I was talking about my 11 by 17 autumn piece that I tweaked. But this one was also a grayscale piece that looked, I don't know, it might have looked, some of these grayscale pieces, when I go into that and I develop everything just in terms of a grayscale piece, full tonal range, and then I tint them with these colors. Sometimes the tinting, you really have to get kind of a decent amount of ink going on there because you have that gray base layer, which can knock down kind of all the intensities and everything like that. So it was looking a little bit anemic to me. I was wondering, I wonder if I went in with that antique linen after I added the colors down just to give it a warmer tinge. I might have. But talking about that type of thing, though, it's like, there, you kind of have to take the colors, I don't know, a decent way to get everything kind of looking, I don't know, good, even if it's more of a tinting type of exercise. If I just brought this up from color to begin with and didn't have all those grayscale tones underneath it, you have a much brighter range of values. Okay, it's in that brighter, whatever category, as opposed to going to, grayscale, kind of knocking it down a little bit. But it has its own little character, though. It's to me, it's more of a, I don't know, it's more of like a somber type of richness to it. It's not like this super bright kind of tonal range. Like I don't know. I'm looking to see if I have one around me that I did. I think I've worked a lot of grayscales in these larger pieces, though, just because it's much faster to do it that way. To do a grayscale piece and then just tint it in, just because this is such a large area to cover. All right, now I don't think I want to go with any more. I have a lot of little textural dots all throughout this piece, and it's everywhere in here. So I think I'm just going to leave it at that. I was trying to think of if other colors would look good up here, but I think they would stand out too much. Like if I used like a violet highlight up there or something like that, I don't think it would look good. I don't think I have tones that would be light enough. You don't want super brightness in areas if it's supposed to represent something, really deep, you know, distance like that, unless you have other things leading up to it that are, you know, equally as bright, like that autumn series or something like that. But something like this, I'd rather have it just kind of a little bit more dull in the background. So anyways, I guess, you know, the thing that I did here was I just kind of woke up this little area down here. There's more detailing in it, which makes sense that you'd be able to see more detail on something that's, whatever, 10 yards from you than from something that's, you know, 100, you know, whatever, 200 yards away from you. So, I don't know, that's that one. All right, so here's my next one right here. I think this is like a Father's Day thing or something like that, or it was my dad's birthday. I don't know, whatever it was, but I was doing this little fishing hole like this. But there's a little bit more area in here. There's a lot of these rocks in here. I don't know what that was representing. I don't know if this is representing a lake or kind of more of a, you know, Pacific Northwest coastal area with channels and things like that, but it doesn't matter. But see this area down in here, again, I think could use some just extra something, texturing or something like that. So, okay, now in this one I can see it right here. I do have these. Oh, those are gold dots down there. So I had white and gold at the time. You know, some other metallics like that. Hello, Christine. Jeannie, good to see you. Brains, what kind of taco joint is that? Well, I don't know who was there again? That was who was at the taco place? Oh, that's wait, yeah, Debbie. Some taco places have brains. You know, that's when you know it's really authentic. Not a lot of places have it. Like even here in San Diego. Yeah, but it's called sesos. If like a lengua, which is tongue, and sesos is on the menu, you know you're in a good spot. I don't get that stuff, you know, those ones, but you know you're in good hands. All right, so anyways, now this one right here too, I'm really tempted to add in those larger kind of textures with the 3mm pens, but I'm just not sure about that. It might be too big in here, but I think we can hit a lot of detailing with, you know, this type of thing. Now see this type of thing too. You've probably seen this color scheme where you see like pinks, you know what I mean? It's pinks and, you know, like that bright green. Maybe it's more like this one right here. You know what I mean? I mean, those harmonize together. I don't know if it's a triadic color scheme or whatever, or if they're complementary, whatever, but you can add this type of thing as kind of like a counter, you know, like a complementary color. It doesn't have to be, you know, like analogous colors, you know, colors that are right next to each other on the color wheel, you know, for there to be, you know, for you to create, you know, decent kind of visual harmony in a place or in a card setting. So let's go ahead and try this right here. All right. This seems to be the pen here tonight. I have a feeling after these first two pieces, it's like, all right, we should all get a nice, I don't know, what color would you call that? Yellow green? Not green yellow. Maybe yellow green or something like that. It's almost, is this that one that's kind of real fluorescent looking to me? Maybe. It's not really fluorescent, it's more pastel. I guess it's real similar to this one right here. And this is like totally pastel. Just when I see this one like this, next to ones like that, it stands out so much and it looks kind of fluorescent to me, just by contrast. All right, let's see here. Let's see if I can get this in here a little bit more. So you can say, yeah, I was checking out this live stream where they were demonstrating like this 0.7mm pen where they used, you know, they applied like 5,000 of them, you know, in which in which you couldn't see a single thing in the live stream. Okay, whoa. All right, there we go. Okay, let me see if I can get... Now, I don't want to apply this in too dark of an area, you know, where you can see it. But I do want you to be able to see what's happening here a little bit. Or all of it if I could, but... Okay, so another thing with this too is the white isn't so... The white would really stand out, okay? Because it's a lot more contrast. While this is really light, it's not quite as extreme in terms of contrast, so I think that looks better in terms of just the utilization of a little bit of a darker value in there. Because I've hit a lot of areas in here already with the white pen where I wanted it to go. But I didn't use a lot of it because it really stands out because there's just so much contrast again. But with the use of, you know, or just having a lot of these, every range of values in these pens now I can apply them a lot more liberally just to get some sort of texture on there. And it doesn't have to be like an extreme contrasting texture as if I was using white, you know, as light as I can possibly go. So that's where these really come into play. I don't use like the really super light ones unless I'm doing like a fall scene, but you know, I could if I wanted to do something like extremely, you know, like pointillism or something like that. Okay, let me see if you can you tell the difference right here? Let me see. I'll try to get as close as I can here. Let's contrast that. Okay, you see this over here? Okay, now I'm not going to bring it in here because it's like too light, but can you see all this texturing in here it's a little bit more lively, right? Than say this area right in here that's about the same lightness in value, okay? So I think that looks better here, you know, with these little textures in here and highlights and whatever. The rocks seem more alive to me. So let's hit this area right in here then. And maybe I'll bring this down a little bit more on these farther rocks and right in here too. Again, I don't want to go crazy with it because then it looks like, I don't know. We don't want to look like the, I don't know, whatever, the grand prize winner in the, the seasonal, you know, like Christmas decoration, you know, contest or something like that. But having a decent amount of it would be pretty good. As much as it can kind of handle, I guess, without looking to, you know, like nuts. That being said, if you haven't done this before, just go nuts. I've gone nuts many times where I've applied just way too many. And I still do that. But maybe not on like an 11 by 17 piece where you're kind of doing the fine tuning of it. Because I don't want to like fine tune the fine tuning, you know, by going and like eradicating, you know, too much of that. That's what that other one was when I went over with the darker pen, you know what I mean? I kind of, you know, went a little bit overboard with it. So you just kind of darken it in a little bit. All right, so anyway, let's see. I think that is about right. See these areas of darkness and lightness in here? Here's that area, you know, that whole idea of checkerboarding. If you watch those lighting videos, you know, this area in here has that same boulders with Brookside boulders. It's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, So I wouldn't be surprised if there's 8 impressions of it. But see, I lit the area completely different. Or you can say added shadow differently all over that. So it doesn't look like the same rock just used over and over and over again. But here's that oscillation of light and dark is dark, light, dark, light, dark. Light, there's darkness in here. It goes light, dark, light right there. Darkness, lightness, darkness, lightness down here. So it doesn't matter where you put it, just oscillate things and you get this nice variation. And it looks a little bit more natural when you do it like that too, than having like this whole area like uniformly illuminated or something like that. You just you can have it illuminated, but just go in here and add in, other different shaded little streaks or something like that to give it a little bit of, some good variation. Let's see. Jeannie refuses to eat brains. Huh. How do you know you haven't had them before? I'm not eating them either, but I have tried them, and I have tried like oh, I don't know what they are. They're like crickets or something like that. From the Oaxaca area of Mexico. Uh, that one was tough too. That one was a little bit. That was a little bit tough for me to eat. I did eat it though. It was like it was dried and almost like eating a chip, but it was like a chili pepper flavored or something like that. All right, adding some of this on these more distant rocks. I'm gonna keep it with the green here. We're moving into this pinkish. What is that color? Is it mauve or something like that? Area up in here, but I think this is going to be my pen of the night here. Let me see if you can see this right here on some of these rocks. Personally, I think this looks way better now. At least these objects. I don't know about the overall, hopefully it does, but. Okay, so let's see if you guys can see anything that's going on at all. Like I said, I'm trying to keep it subtle, but see those little tinges of that warmth, that lighting in there. And when you do something like this too, it could be moss on the rocks, on these distant rocks. There's a little tinge of it right in here. There's a little bit of greenish tinge like that on that right in here. And then I added quite a bit right in here. So that's kind of glowing a little bit more. And let me try to add a little bit more. See if you guys can see it in the live here, or if it's being picked up by a camera. I notice these live streams, unfortunately, aren't quite, they're a little bit blurry to me. And again, I think it's just the nature of the live stream, as opposed to recording it in a higher resolution. But see that right in there? So it's kind of glowing. And it's like a nice, that's like totally better, I think. It's just giving it kind of a nicer kind of glowing, I don't know, whatever source of light. I mentioned in these videos sometimes it's like, if you look at these pieces more like a stage or something like that, where you have the ability to change your lighting over things based on whatever those gels or whatever that they're using, different colored lights in different areas. Like this would be, could be getting hit with a, warm light, you know what I mean? From some area. It doesn't have to be this uniformly one light source type of lighting in here. Okay, you can have like several different kind of spotlights, like you would illuminate a room with like I don't know, whatever canned lighting, ceiling lights or something like that. You put LEDs around in the room or something like that. That's how you want to kind of approach your pieces. Unless it's something specific, you have a moon in there and you want it to look like moonlight is hitting everything, very directional or something like that. But something like this that's big. So like this in here too, that wouldn't be illuminated if that was the lighting over here. But if I didn't have that area that was lit in there, and this whole area was dark in here, this whole area would be like super boring in here. So you put that little pop of warmth in there, and I think it kind of lifts it up a little bit. All right, so anyways, let's see here. Linda, that's not the way you want to acquire brains, huh? If you eat brains, then you'll be smarter. Isn't that how things go, There's all these other cultures, like, I don't know. If something looks like something, they figure that if they eat it, they'll be acquiring those traits. Isn't that crazy? Okay, let's see here. A little bit more yellow-green on that rock. Oh, you like the fishing hole, huh? Linda's going to do this in 5 by 10 feet piece. I still want to see that whole wall piece, Linda. Okay, so there we go, like that. And again, I'm sorry that these little this video like here, but okay, here you see a little bit of it down here again. Well, I showed you this already, but there's a little tinge of that warmth right up there. That really helps this out, I think. I don't know what color it was before. Maybe it was, but that little greenish tinge up there, it's giving it something in common with this now as the the far and the near shore. And I did it on the, the closer areas. Not that you can't have it on there or something like that, but these, see, like even these little rocks right in here. Do you see those little dots that, you know what I mean? In here, it's like 2 dots or something like that, 2 or 3 dots. But again, it's not in white here. See, if I had white before and I tried this with that back in the old days, I don't know, whatever, like 2 years ago or something like that, this white dot in here would stand out so much, but those little green dots in here, I mean, this is certainly not a dark green or anything like that, but those just stand out just enough to give that little area, a little bit more dimension, because there are rock textures in there that, it's not just black that you can see. So I can see those rock textures. So just putting those little dots on it like that, it just makes it look a little bit more 3-dimensional and varied, with light hitting it like that. I think it brings, like I said, it kind of brings it to life a little bit. I almost feel inclined to put some in here, but I don't know. It might be a little bit too much because I have so much of it down here now. All right, so that is that one right there. I've mounted all of these 11 by 17s were like this, like curled, or like, they were like this, and then went like that, So I mounted it on another piece of 11 by 17 like this. Okay, so this one right here was featuring the snowy brook right here. This is not a lot of stamps on here. This is a big scene too at 11 by 17 again. You see stamp pad like this. But okay, so this is the snowy brook stamped 1, I think 2, 3, 2, 2 times, I think, right here, and then again right here, okay? And this is the Pines and Rocks stamp right here. It must, I don't know if it's 20 times. I think it was, because it's been stamped in black here. Okay, so we took a rip paper towel and we stamped a bunch of them in here, okay? And then these ones right here are the same stamp again, but it's just in blue tones, going back in the distance like that. And then the Cloud Cameos, this is like a 11 by 17, 3 stamp scene. It's the same, maybe the stamps that you might use on a quarter page card. Okay, but here's the thing. Here's the lighting, right? And if you want reflected light, this area down here is illuminated, so this area in here is the separating part. But this is almost like 2 separate. I didn't want this. This is like really big. So I just left another little slope of snow in here illuminated. So it's going like dark, light, dark, light. Or what did I say? Dark, light. And then the interior of this gets a little bit darker because that's in the stamp design, that little brook. And then darker down here. And of course the light beams. But okay, so for me, this piece was really missing kind of a focal point. To me, this little deer would look really good down here, kind of standing in the snow. So I thought I would do that in here. And if I do that, I'm praying that it adheres to this, because this has been spray sealed with, I don't know, either a triple thick or the Krylon UV. I think it's been sprayed. I don't know, I think it has to be, but I'm not sure what I sprayed it with. If it looks like it's like super, super glossy, but, and if it was the triple thick, I think I would have had some drippings on there just from not hitting it perfectly. All right, so what I'm going to do here is I think I'm going to use Stays On down here maybe for the deer, and just, I was thinking Brilliance, but now that I think about it, I don't know if the Brilliance will adhere to that amount of coating on there. Jeannie, are you going to do the fishing scene you're talking about? Let me see. I don't know when you posted that. Froggy Fresh is hungry. I wish Cheerios would come out with a special edition called Cheer Meows, where they're shaped like cat heads. Well, see, Froggy Fresh is going to eat brains there, cat brains, if if that's the case, right? We're talking about tacos and Sesos tacos. Okay, so wiping off the bottom of this. All right, I'm going to do a test print here. Okay. All right, if I stamp this out and it looks really bad, that's where I'm going to have this other cutout, like quote stamp or something like that, and throw a scenic sentiment or something like that down there, right? I don't know. Maybe it'd even look better than this. I don't know. But I'm hoping that this stamps out over the top of that, whatever sealant is on here. Yeah, it'd have to be sealed. Okay, so I was kind of lifting it so many times because I just wanted to make sure I wasn't stamping it on top of a rock. I wanted it in my snow. All right, there we go. I know it'd stamp out all along. What were you guys worried about? You don't trust me at all. All right, It stands out a little bit too much, but that's where we put in the white pigment ink, you know, little haze at the base of it. But we'll wait for that to dry. Luckily with StazOn, you know, it dries fairly fast. These light beams right here look fine to me, and I probably sprayed around it like this on the perimeter and didn't spray too much in here, so I just allowed that overspray that came from around on the perimeter just to land in there. Because if I spray that directly in there, a lot of times it just kind of disappears. Maybe it's too strong. Maybe I wanted some of it to kind of fade into the background a little bit more. I think it might look more natural that way. But we'll see. You know, because I'm probably going to hit it with, well, I will hit it with some additional sealant anyway, especially for down here. So you almost need like a word stamp up here too, or a quote stamp, huh? Something like that. Or we need to mat this on something, frame it, and then have that inner matting in there again, right over the top of it with something. I don't know. Thinking out loud. Some silver in here would kind of be cool too, but it's already like really so textural with all of that splatter painting in there. I've been splatter painting. Okay, I think I've been over splatter painting too much, just because it is a really fun process. But like on some of my recent foil pieces, I was thinking, oh man, you know, I just went way too much. You know, where it maybe it would have been better just to go in with a few dots on a couple of the cards at least. I like the splatter painting for variation with everything, but on some of the stuff, I need to just pull back and probably do like half of what I'm doing in there. As far as that splatter painting, you can see all that splatter painting in there. It almost looks like dust. And that's why I put these glowing little orbs in here, because it was just looking too textural. I needed something in front of all of that tiny texture in there. All right, so here comes the white pigment ink, 100% cotton ball, and we'll just work it from the base up, and I'll work it about midway up the character here. I'm not going all the way up into the head because I just want a varied application of it. Okay, let's see. So I'm going lighter right at around the base of the feet because I've established in here that this is a very foggy kind of, you know, whatever atmosphere. So remember to apply it to all of the different, I don't know, whatever players in your area, be it a rock or tree or, you know, the main focal point of the scene, which is the deer now. So I think that is it. So no, you know, on some of these, it's not like a real extreme tweak. It was like this smallest bit. I guess, I don't know, from a focal point standpoint, it is kind of extreme because now I think, I don't know, if someone was to look at this, I'm not sure what they would look at first. I don't know if they would look like here because all things are leading to that area, and then if they'd go back like that. But, or if they look down here, like where the spotlights are hitting, and then go back up there, I'm not really quite sure. But I don't know, I think that added a lot to it. You know, you take away that deer in there, and it was just like, I don't know, kind of a dramatic setting, you know, on a stage or something like that, but, you know, missing its main character. This area in here is really illuminated too. I was looking, if I put like a smaller deer in here, you know, you'd create this little bit of a visual dialogue like that. You'd have this light coming down here, then you go back to that other one in the distance, and then you go like this. There's a little bit of this triangulated type of visual path I think people would take on this one. They would probably start off here and go back here, and then go up there, you know, up the, it's like an escalator of light and down here, like that. Let me see something too. Some of these beams are a little bit too extreme. So maybe you can kind of mellow some of these out just by kind of adding some additional tone right around in here. So let's do that a little bit. So what I'm doing is I'm just cutting down the contrast between the beams and some of that perimeter area in there. All right, but that is that. I'm trying to think if I put anything else in here that I don't remember. I think that could be like Orion or something like that up there, the constellation. But okay, that is that. I gotta be careful while I'm stacking these here and piling them up. Oh, well, okay, here's what you guys gotta be careful about. See this right here? This was my grayscale piece, and I think I remembered the whatever the lesson on this one. This one is about dramatic imbalance. Okay, it's where you have a lot of stuff like really piled up, like a big, gigantic mass in one area of the card, wherever it might be. And then you contrast it with, you know, this kind of like the smallest of little, you know, objects or something like that. So it's creating this kind of thing. But so I added that spray sealant on this, okay? And I was probably throwing other cards on the top of it, but they stuck because this wasn't dry yet right here. So I got all these scratches on here. And what I was going to do is I was just going to create a scene right here, you know, just by cutting this part off. And this would be another scene right here. I don't know, that would be kind of a boring scene, but I don't know, maybe if I cut it off right here or something like that. But I thought, okay, I'm going to try to do a little bit of a repair work on here. And we'll see if I have any kind of abilities, you know, when it came to that. I thought I had more grayscale pens here, though. Here's like a gray right here. And I was just going to see if I can match that and do a little bit of touch up in here. And then I would spray it again, you know, just to get it shiny. But, okay, but I thought that might be a good thing to show people, just to, you know, remind them to be careful when they are using sealants. If you're spray sealing a bunch of pieces at the same time, you know, it could potentially take a little bit of time to dry. Especially if you're in a hurry. I always tell people to just kind of take it slower, you know. But I get it, you know, if you're doing, like sometimes with me, I might be spray sealing 30 things and I don't have that much, you know what I mean? It's a little windy or something, and you have to be kind of careful about, you know, the wind flopping something over too. These days I'm kind of spray sealing. I have things in a box and I'll spray it in a box a lot of times, but okay, let's see if we can kind of bring some of this a little bit. This is I don't know, what is this one? This is a cool gray number 3. I think there's hope here. Okay, I'm adding this directly onto like the bare pulp of the paper too, because it's torn off. I tore off the glossy coating off these pieces, you know, because they were really stuck. And when I peeled it off, it was like peeling off the entire top layer of the card. But this seems to be working right there. I don't know. Has anyone spray sealed and that happened to you? Okay, now see this piece right here? That is I don't know if you can tell, that is a drip of a spray sealant. Like I said, when I'm cranking these out, You know, when you see, that's what that looks like up there. See how it's all torn? You can see that glossy is removed there. But like that, you can't really see. So that glossy that glossy sealant on here, hopefully it gives it a nice surface and, you know, it won't be visible, but there's a big drop of that sealant right there. And you can see where some other card landed on top of it, and this thing was raised a little bit. So the area right in here was probably an area that was still wet, kind of below the surface, but kind of on the top side of that little ball of acrylic that was kind of air drying. It probably wasn't drying around the base there, so you got that. So you got to do a little bit of your I don't know, whatever art. I don't know, whatever repair work. What do you call that? Like in museums and stuff, when people go into old paintings and stuff like that. Restoration, right? So this is what you have to do if you have to go in and restore. But when do you ever have to do that? Hardly ever. It's only like in something like this. Here's another piece right here. Okay, so apparently one pen kind of took care of the whole thing. I thought I'd have to use like multiple tones of gray. But okay, now those little specks out here are stars. They're not torn areas like that. All right, so that saved the day there. I think it happened on some smaller pieces, but I don't know, it makes it a lot easier when it's just grayscale like that. Not have to go in there and do too much to it. So yeah, one pen took care of all of it. So I'm really happy about that. All right. Let me see down here. I'm going to go for a couple little bolder applications of white. That looked like a warm white to me. I'll eat rhino horn. You will feel more romantic. Yeah, that's what I was talking about when I was mentioning that earlier. I was saying, all those other cultures just based on the shape of something, Yeah, rhino horn or, we're going to eat, whatever. Snake. These crazy notions. All right. I'm glad you like the deer. That helped a lot, didn't it, Froggy Fresh, don't you think? Okay, so this 3mm paint pen, I'm not going to use it anywhere up here because it's too subtle, but we have these areas like right in here and right down here. I don't want it too visible either. But you know what I mean? Just having a little bit of extra texture, again, on these such big pieces like this. I just think that it can potentially just, I don't know, it relates to the scale of the whole piece a little bit more, or at least maybe not just having like a large dot like this, but having a varied size of highlight in those areas like that is just, more complete, I guess. All right, so I've added it down here. Okay, you can see it right here. Okay. I mean, it doesn't stand out huge. I mean, people are going to look at a piece like this. Okay. And that looks pretty good. Let me go a little bit more. This is largely created with the sedge filler stamp, so along the top edge of the sedge filler, I usually keep a copy of that right on my desk here because I use it all the time. I don't see it, but I'm adding those little areas on the top cluster, so it's not just everywhere. In the light, it's kind of representing that, but on here, it's representing highlights. So you can see a little row of it right here. See those 3 rows of those little dots like that, or big dots like that, and that's just staying with the top of the sedge cluster. And then you can see right down in here, I see where I've used the tiny rock stamp just to create that little bit of extra texture too. So sedge filler, tiny rock small, and then the stamp that I use all the time in reeds large in there. Just what the scene needed. Yeah, it needed something in there, huh, Linda? Something in the snow. It was just, it would be like this piece right here. If that deer wasn't down here, something would be missing. As a matter of fact, something could be used up here. I guess that's where I just use those stars. But, okay, yeah. So for this piece too, it was about dramatic imbalance. So we wanted a lot of big types of kind of, a mass in this areas here. So I left this place empty right here, I guess. I mean, it could use something small, like a UFO. Like a flying saucer or something like that. But yeah, okay, so I kept that one just purposely small. Or minimal, I guess, on that side, just to contrast against all of this kind of, bigger types of imagery and I don't know, whatever drama in that area. It's like kind of dramatic, majesty of these towering granite, sentinels out there, kind of like Yosemite or something like that. And then just down here in the meadow, where it just meets, it's just something quiet over here. All right, so this white, I'm using a little bit more in here than I was thinking about doing, but I think it looks pretty good. Or at least not out of place. All right. All right, so there, that area is up there. And I don't know, you can see a little bit of it where there's a little bit more contrast. See those dots like that? I had it right in here. I didn't add too much down here. Let's add a little bit more. So I'm adding this large kind of highlight in the more illuminated areas. All right, let's go like that. That almost stands out a little bit too much when I look at it real close up like that. But then, again, you know what I mean? Viewing it is more like that. It didn't create a huge change, but it's just slightly more varied from a textural perspective. I think I'm going to leave it up there. I don't think I'm going to put any of it down here. Or, I don't know. I keep saying that, but then I look at it and it's like, I can handle it. Let's do that down here. Okay. I'll go like that. So there's those little dots in that area. Okay, and then right there. You know what I mean? Because there's just a tiny little illumination on that cloud, so I'm not putting it over the whole thing, but there we go right there. Dramatic imbalance. So there's dramatic imbalance. We learned this in we had that project in our beginning drawing class in college. Okay, so I remember them setting up this gigantic still life in every drawing class. There's a bunch of props and things like that that they can stack up. So it was like a big stack of chairs and I don't know, planters and I don't know, vase, and stuff like that over it. And then over here, I think there was like a chicken or something like that, like a stuffed chicken. And then, so we did that exercise, you know, and it's just creating this kind of, like I said, it's dramatic in the scale difference, you know, from one side of the scene to the next. You can do this on a small card too. And then the other one was dramatic balance, where you have things like so balanced from one side to the next. They're almost, it doesn't have to be the same, you know, imagery from one side to the next. You can have something completely different over here. But you have things just so kind of balanced out from a visual perspective, like visual weight too, that you can create this kind of tension that, and thus drama. As you can see down here, I put all the trees down here too on this side. So you're going from that to that, but it's all one scene though. So it's a fun little exercise to do. You know, that's why I haven't done it at all in 30 years until this one. I don't know. I should do more of that though. I don't know. It might be in some other pieces that I've done, you know, where I'm not really thinking that though, but might have applied it kind of subconsciously or something. Because I've always remembered that assignment. It was, you know, I thought it was a really good one and really stood out to me in terms of, I don't know, utilizing that sort of, oh, I don't know, whatever, notion, whatever. Uh-oh. You might get tornadoes tomorrow. I don't know who ordered the giant blender with their weather, but they need to cancel that order. Well, hopefully all's well there. You know, tomorrow after that. Certain things are getting so much more extreme these days, you know, with the weather. So, yeah. We'll be hoping for the best for you. Hello, Annie. Restoration success, yes. I'm really happy with the way that worked out, Sam. And I think when I spray that, I think it'll look even better with that, you know, the spray sealant over the top of that. So, yeah, it'll kind of, you know, fix that little area. Okay, so this one right here was just a little experiment right here. This is using the same Brookside boulders that that created the entire area down here. Okay, I haven't used that for a while, but that's the same thing. So here it's using that Brookside boulders for objects of, you know, a reasonable distance away. But on this one right here, it's just used to represent some sort of like very close, I don't know, pond, you know, like, I don't know, basically at your feet or something of that sort. So, oh, and okay, so this one right here was also, I think I was experimenting with the Moonlight Duo types of inks, the hybrid inks, okay? These ones aren't the duos here, but, you know, the duos come with like one area of hybrid ink and the other side is like a hybrid white, so you can kind of mix and get varying values of whatever tone you are. I don't know, what do they call it? A tint? What is that? If you add black to a certain color, is it tint, and white is a what? I don't know. What, you guys know what someone knows what I'm talking about here, right? I kind of forgot some things, or I forget it when I'm doing these videos because I'm not thinking about those things, you know, like ever. Like the terms until I'm doing these videos. So if I don't do a video in a while, not that I'm ever super articulate, you know, see, I can't even talk right now. I'm always trying to articulate what I'm doing, so I don't go around thinking of all these things all the time. Like, I am now applying, like, you know, a complementary, you know, I'm not thinking that when I'm stamping. I'm only trying to explain it when I'm doing these videos, so I tend to forget all those things. Okay, so This one right here, it was utilizing the those hybrid inks. And the hybrid inks, to me, I need to use them more often. Um, but they, to me, the feeling of working with them, although I don't work with like oil pastels, but that's what I think about when I'm working with these types of inks because they're so kind of they're like a creamy type of ink. It more than even pigment inks. Pigment inks, so the hybrid inks are like a pigment ink, like an oil-based pigment ink mixed with a water-based dye ink. That's what I've been told. Sometimes when I say that though, it doesn't seem to make sense because you wouldn't think those two would mix. But I think that's what hybrid inks are, right? I don't know. Does anyone know? But to me, it has a really creamy consistency, which is really cool to work with. And I've only done a few pieces when I first got those, but I've always meant to get around to using this more because I love the look and the feeling of using those, applying those inks. And I'm always doing it on, the semi-gloss paper, not the glossy, because I don't think it would stick to it at all. Or if it did, I don't know, it would take a while for it to dry probably. So you need to do it like on a matte or a semi-gloss. And this one's a semi-gloss right here. Okay, so this is what this piece looks like that. Okay, but I thought this piece could use a little bit of extra texture. So again, let's try a little bit with these paint pens here. I don't think I can add a lot to it too, because I lost I just colored all of my white out of the paper. So it's all tone. So I don't know, let's just see how this goes. I did use some sort of I might have had the paint pens at this time too, because I see different colors in here, but it might be white going over the hybrid ink and physically blending with, the water-based aspect of the hybrid ink. So you can't see like white in here at all, but it's just kind of like if I went over red, it's like a pinkish, kind of peach tinge of a highlight. But again, I just don't remember. Let's see. Debbie's back now with the tacos. Did you get some for all of us? I hope you caught our order there, Debbie. I think it was about 30 of us. You need to get about like 30 tacos for all of us here. Jeannie wanted the Sesos ones, right? I can't remember. I can't remember if you said I'll never eat brain tacos or I'll never stop eating brain tacos. Because if you eat brains, right, it just makes sense that you would get smarter as a result, right? Does anyone here ever watch like cooking or like those travel styles of YouTube videos where they're going around eating or they'll visit a restaurant or something like that, go a little bit behind the scenes or cooking. I shouldn't watch those like around like midnight or 1, which I do because even if I'm kind of, I'm not hungry at all, I get really hungry when watching those. All right, so I'm adding a little bit of that red over the black there. Okay, so this is what this. See, that black right in there looked like that. Okay, so I'm adding that little bit of a red tinge over the top of it right in there. And then I added it right in here too, so it just doesn't look so anemic. I'm going to throw it right in here too, in the lighter areas, I think. This piece right here is a real experiment for me. I mean, a lot of things are, but this one's kind of working really big. And it's kind of it's a shallower space than what I normally do. I'm usually doing things that represent a decent amount of distance in the background. Like, so it seems strange that on a, here it is, an 11 by 17 piece, but this represents like, I don't know, whatever, like 2 feet of distance or something like that. It's a really shallow space in here. I need like a gigantic like a two like a stamp that has like a frog, where it's kind of you just see their eyes out of the water right here. Or I get, if you had like a koi or something like that underwater. All right, so there's some little bit of reddish tinge. So instead of just, I mean, that black up there, it's that red. Actually, I think that looks really good here. So I'm just kind of adding this little highlight, or, almost like coloring a lot of these leaves that are black. So now it's like this crimson black, or I don't know, crimson reddish black. What do they call that color? Vamp or something like that. Leaves in there. So, and it looks like, I don't know what this is going to look like when it dries. It might look a lot different, but it looks a little bit more dimensional now too. It seems weird getting that little tinge of red on top of black like that, but I think it works pretty good. Do you see that right in there? I mean, that little bush looks a little bit more dimensional to me now than it did before. Hello, Laura. Hello, Laura D. A UFO would be perfect. We're on the same wavelength there, then, Linda. It's instead of a bovine abduction, now it's a deer abduction in the clearing with a UFO. Scenic stamping needs can use the utilization of the UFO imagery more often. All right, I'm going a little bit crazy with that red in there. I think that red is going to kind of disappear a little bit, but I think it'll still look a little bit more rich with that touch in there. As I was saying that, I was thinking I should put some on this one too, but I realized, oh, I already did. So, like I said, it doesn't show up, it's not like an extreme type of edition here. All right. Okay, so we have that. Let's go back to, I was going to bring in some other tones in here. I'm not sure, though. This is going to stand out more. Yeah, let's give it a shot. I'm going to add in a few of these other little highlights down here. Okay. I'm going to add it in, like I said, I'm going to add it in. I need to be careful about this because now all this is going to be really wet. But let's add in these little highlights with these paint pens in the water just to get a little bit of it needs some kind of extra texture over the top of it, especially if it represents water. All right, now I know you can't see it. I'm adding like orange into orange here just to kind of get it started with a little bit of that texturing. And then I'll work it through. I'll probably go with like orange in there. Let's see if you can see a little bit of it though. So just a little bit right here, here, and here. And then what I'll do is I'll work it into like yellow or something like that. I don't know if I'll go to white. That might be, like I said, too much because there's no white in here anywhere. There's no white highlights like anywhere. It's just all color. So, if there's like a white highlight in here, you were saying that white light is hitting that little area and it's reflecting white, but with nothing else in here white, it just, I don't know, I don't think it'd make visual sense. It would stand out too much and probably look awkward in terms of a texture. Okay. Okay, so it's like adding like a strip of these little dots in here. Okay, let's see if you can see it. You might be able to see it a little bit if I kind of angle it and it kind of gets a, see it's a little shiny, like in this water area right here. It's not going to remain shiny because it's going to dry and get, a little bit duller, but you can kind of see where it's been applied up there. All right, so that is let's see. This is such a big piece right here. There's like a big old, like, like half fingerprint of mine right here in black down there. All right. Let's go with this. I have two yellows here. Let's go with the little bit of a lighter yellow here. White tint, black shade. Thank you. Tint is the addition. Thank you, CM and Annie. White is the tint and black is the shade. Okay, so with the Moonlight duos, then what we're doing is we're working with various tints then, right? Which is kind of an interesting concept. I thought it was kind of weird because I thought the white on those pads are going to get like so polluted all the time, okay? But I watched KP do it. It was like, all she did was like, okay, she got some of their things in there, just taking a stamp sometimes and even stamping it on there, getting this impression of, whatever color directly in the white. But then I saw it where she just takes a paper towel and she just wipes off the top and it's like, you know what I mean? It's acceptably white again. It might not be like pure white, but then you're always going to be using it with that orange anyway, so it doesn't have to be, you're not going to be using the this pad in here for like another like green or something like that because the Moonlight Duo Green's got the one that you use in there. So, so after I saw her do that, it's like, oh, okay, and I got much more liberal with combining the two directly on there, and then just in the end, I just take a paper towel and just wipe it off, and then you just re-ink that white side if you need to. All right, so going in here with a little bit more contrast. This. Okay. I mentioned kind of oscillating light and dark textures, things like that, with the white ink. I'm doing the same here too, so you can see, I think you can see it here. So it's like down here, then here, then here. So I'm leaving some space in between, otherwise it's just going to be this, super common texture over everything. But I'd rather have this kind of stand out, in different areas. And this is light. I mean, this is not, you know what I mean? It's light in here. This area in here is not a dark area, but so for the most part, I'm kind of using it in some of those lighter areas. There's not a lot of contrast in here though, but just in general, okay? So you see that kind of light path going up there like so. I don't know. I wonder if it, I'm still wondering in my head if it can take white. But then again, you know what I mean? If you do that, then you would have to just use it, you know, in a few more areas at least. It doesn't have to be completely universal, but it would probably help to have it in quite a few areas right in here. So this little water area, I think, is coming alive with these little highlights like that. So again, you know, the use of these colored paint pens is, it's really fun to, you know, take advantage of all these different colors. If you have gel pens, you can, you know, do it with gels probably. Okay. So it's up here, there's like 3 dots there. That being said, maybe I should go with a little bit more down below, so it's like a little bit more, less, less, and then least, right? But again, here it is, you know, it's the oscillation of these little textures in here. It is lighting, you know, it's just a dot, but it does represent lighting in here, so it's kind of creating a little bit of a visual path like that. You know, it's like the yellow brick road or something like that. This shiny kind of, you know, little sparkly entity for the viewer's eye to draw the viewer in. Okay, so that is yellow. I was wondering if I should use it on some of these rocks, but let's go with a much smaller highlight again. Let's grab this one again. I think that was this one I was using, or was it that, or was it green? I think it's the green here. I've already forgotten. I got to rewind the tape. You know, someone rewind the tape here. Let me see. I don't have my glasses on. I'm trying to read. Jeannie says, I will never stop eating brain tacos, right? Is that what that says? Like I said, I don't have my glasses on here. Oh, we were talking about real authentic tacos. Like, you know what I mean? Where that might be on the menu. All right, so I don't know if you can see it. Here's like, can you guys see that, the orange little dots as well, like that? Oh, there you can see it. So that's you know, I mean, but you know, when you look at it on the overall, I don't think it looks crazy. You know, if you zoom in on this, you know, there's a lot of kind of texturing going on, but I think, you know, when you look at it at standard distance, it's I don't think it's, you know, a distracting type of texture, or I don't know, whatever visual device in there. Okay, but now see these little areas in here on these rocks that are illuminated like that. Let's get a little bit more illumination in there. I like the softness of it, okay, kind of as is. So I don't want to make this too distracting. Well, I don't want to make it distracting at all, but just I want to make it noticeable, but not, you know, overpoweringly so. Okay, so I'm having a hard time accessing some of this because, okay, let me see. I don't have any of that red down here at all. That red up there is really juicy because I've laid down a big dot of it, so you can tell it's still kind of wet. it's real shiny like that. Okay, but let's go in here and let's see if you can see any of this being applied. Okay, you see a little bit of a, kind of illumination happening on that illuminated part of the rock. I think a lot of this is still wet down here too, this acrylic paint. Here, I'm going to use this right here. Here's a piece of the vinyl sticker paper part. I'm just throwing this down here. And hopefully I'm not going to be like smearing all of that, paint underneath my hand, but you know what I mean? Even if I did, I don't think it'd matter too much. It's like drag it like that, but just kind of, a little more kind of blotchy maybe. Okay, so this is green. It'd be kind of cool if this was like a glow-in-the-dark green, huh? And then you take this whole piece into a, darker room and check it out under light. This whole thing in here, be cool if it was kind of reactive with a black light. It almost looks like some of those colors of those old posters, really bright oranges and bright greens on those posters back in the 70s and 80s, early 80s. All right, so there, that rock is right there. Okay, so I don't know if you can tell that, but we'll see if you can see any kind of difference, say, between like that rock up here. See these little highlights in there? And this one right here. See, this one right here, by comparison, at least in terms of lighting, texture, and all that, seems a little bit lacking to me. So that's where these little touches come into play. See, it's like this illuminated rock out here. These are the types of things that I really like doing. Kind of something that might be illuminated kind of out of the way and really insignificant. If you just kind of give it a little bit of attention like this, I think it, that little area in there can really stand out, but in a subtle way. It's not stand out, but just look a little bit richer than not having that additional illumination on there. And texturing. Okay, so this one received the texturing. See that little highlight down there too? It's just a few little dots. I had to kind of work it in between the reeds, but there it is right here and right here. And I've kind of applied it just in those areas where there's a little bit more illumination here. Let me apply it a little bit in this darker area too, just so you can see it a little bit more. I'll go like this too. I'm kind of going a little bit more of a center-based illumination. Where on these rocks it'll be on the inside like that. And the rocks on the other side of the scene will be right side illuminated. And this one here really gets dark anyway. So I don't know if I'll do too much there, but let's see. I'd say that now I'm liking this piece a lot more than I did before I did these extra little touches in here, though. I think those little crisp little elements, I like the softness overall of the piece, because that's what to me, the moonlight duos really lend themselves to when you use them in this manner. But I think having these little kind of crisp little contrasting, textural elements, statements, are really kind of finishing it off nicely. This little cluster of rocks in the background right here get pretty dark, so on some of the tops of the rocks, I'm just adding like one or two little dots, and that does it. Okay, let me see if you can see this right in here. See those rocks right there? See, right on the top, there's a little bit of just that contrast. That might be like 3 dots or something like that, where, they kind of get lost, in the background without that. It just gives them that little extra contrast. So watch this, like right here. What rock is that? I'm looking at my computer screen. Okay, so. Okay, so yeah, there's that little bit of extra lighting in there now. See that? So it kind of just brings it out a little bit, maybe a lot from that background. Okay, so let's keep rotating the. These are really hard to work with because I don't have like my space to work with is not based around 11 by 17. It's, if anything, it's like a 8.5 by 11, if that. A lot of times I don't even have room to work on a full 8.5 by 11 on my desk here. So this paper's like running up, like, here's my box of like re-inkers right there in the corner. So it's like curling this to try and get at these different angles here. All right, almost there. These 2 rocks right here, I think, and that will kind of be it there. Let's see. I need like a I don't know, something jumping out of that water. All right, so there's this one right here. It's a little bit more. Okay. I did not expect to be doing all this on this piece here. When I looked at it earlier, I thought these little dots are going to, or highlights, or especially the larger paint pen, I thought it would be too extreme. And I thought I took away the option for this type of highlight on here with how dark the different objects got already, but I don't know. I guess you can always go on there to some degree with a kind of a new texture and just, it depends on kind of your application of it, I guess. But it's doesn't have any problem kind of accepting it. Okay, so see that little rock down here, got that little extra highlighting on there, where it was otherwise kind of just absorbed in that shadow area. But you see these rocks around in this area now. I mean, you can see that it was just a little bit of a glow, but they're just a little bit more defined now, I think, with this lighting on there. They're a little bit more, and then it's a sparkly kind of illumination, so it just, I don't know, it's a little bit more whimsical, I think. Okay, I'm going to add some of this color down in the water too. There is greens down in this water already. You can see it. Oops. You can see it all over in here. Okay, let me see if you guys can see this here. See that in the water right there. And then on these rocks, so this little highlighting down there, kind of picking it up. On the top, it almost looks like, the good thing about this grain is it almost looks like it's glowing. They were just in those background rocks. Again, here's that kind of whole aspect of light and shade within your areas and within your objects. Okay, so each one of these these boulders with brookside boulders have a little bit of light and dark in them, or a lot of light and dark. Some of them are really dark, okay, but then there's still that little area of illumination. So none of them have been uniformly shaded. And right back in here, there's a whole cluster of them. Like that rock right here is the same rock as this one right here, as the same as this one right here. But it doesn't necessarily read as that because I've shaded that whole row of them a little bit differently, to kind of obscure that so it doesn't read as the same rock. You just use over and over and over again. Because, something like this where you do use the same image just repeatedly, it can get a little bit repetitive or a lot repetitive. In here, the one thing I wish I had done is I probably would have separated. I would have gone a little bit darker right here, maybe a little bit right here, but left it a little bit open, like where it's maybe light in here and it kind of creeps around in light in here and then light like that. So I would have extended a little bit of shading in here and shading right here just to kind of break this whole area up because it's kind of mono value in here. But again, that was kind of me experimenting around with the those hybrid inks. You can get lighter and lighter, but you can't get, I don't know how you get darker. I guess you got to mix the inks or something like that. So I don't know. I was playing around with that. Yeah, Debbie, it can really help a lot of these pieces here. So, a couple of the things that I did tonight didn't make too much of a difference. I guess the most dramatic addition was probably that deer in the snow scene. And it was the most minimal in terms of the amount of change that took place, but it's just such a strong focal point. It just really stands out. But yeah, the other ones, I don't know, there's a little bit of extra texturing, highlighting or something like that. It's just kind of pushing everything, I don't know, a couple extra notches up in terms of whatever the visual volume of a given area or object. But for me, these little things in here, you know, I mean, this piece, this piece right here for me, it was like, a lot of the pieces I do, it's just to kind of learn something, and sometimes I can take it or leave it. I generally like them, but it's just a matter of how much. But because I'll generally do something until I like it. But this one right here for me was, I was kind of more neutral about it. But the thing that I like about that I like in my own art, you know what I mean? I like all kinds of art, but in my own stuff, I like little tiny details. So just stuff like this and waking up like a given area with, a little bit of extra texturing in there. That's the type of thing that when I look at this piece, if I was to, if I didn't do it, I would look at this piece as a whole, but then I would zoom in and I would look throughout all these little areas like this, and I go in for an inspection. Those are the types of things that I really like to do. You know what I mean? I keep saying this, but it's like it's like a reward for further inspection. I like that kind of the micro world, the microscopic world of things. When it comes to art, it's just kind of, those little detailed marks like that. So, but yeah, this one could use, it'd be interesting to go with some sort of focal point. It looks like a worm's eye view of something, because I have used a lot of these leaves here, and there's leaves there. There's the same size. Here's the reeds large here, kind of in the foreground, right? But then they're also in the background like that. So that closes in the space as far as the visual distance here. So yeah, something would be kind of interesting in here. Just, I don't know, some kind of object, some kind of focal point. Like I don't know. This is supposed to represent water too. I guess it doesn't have to be water. It could be something else. I could stamp out even like my sedge filler in here and create kind of a grassy texture too. But yeah, I don't know. Something in there would be kind of interesting, I think. Like I don't know if it's a worm's eye view, like a snail. Maybe not, I'm just joking, but I don't know, something like that might be kind of interesting. Or you can do like, I don't know, a couple little things in here maybe, a little kind of hidden object thing, It'd be kind of interesting to do that now that I think about it. I don't know if I'd do it at this point in time, but, if they were like an ants or something like that, that are barely visible. Someone would have to really kind of look closely to see them. Might be kind of interesting. I don't know. Yeah, not sure. Um, I don't know. Lady the Lake and Excalibur. All right, so let's see a little recap here. So on this one right here, it was the same type of thing if anyone joined in later. It was just a lot more of these additional textures in here, okay? Like I did on that one, but just on some of these rocks in here. And I added it right here in the background. See that little greenish tinge in there? That's using that same green 0.7 millimeter paint pen. I didn't go with the larger paint pen in here. I don't know if, I guess I could, but I don't know. I thought the smaller one would be more appropriate in here, I guess. In this one right here, again, it was just, this one didn't take too much, but I added a few more touches in here. With this paint pen here, I added in some of these greens down in here. And then in the background right here, there was none of this type of color in here. So it's kind of adding a warm tinge into an otherwise semi-cool, composition. I mean, this is a warmer kind of Caribbean blue in there. And there's that tinge of, I was guessing it was the antique linen in there, in these cloud area. And you can see that kind of that warmish glow in there amongst that cool. But I mean, it's very subtle. So these little warm little touches down in here, like these little highlights on here. I don't know, it added another hue in there too. So, and it is kind of, warm temperatures, so you're kind of adding warm, not really into cool. It's kind of more neutral though. Um, it was kind of fun. And then of course, the one of the biggest things is the deer in this one. So you take out that deer, and it was really kind of missing something in terms of I don't know, just something. The eye didn't have anywhere to land in here. You just kind of go back in there as there's nothing in there, like birds or anything like that, because this is like I didn't want to add birds in this one. This is like completely a winter snowy thing. So, but adding this little critter down here, I think really helped the piece out. I was saying too, if anyone's just joined in, if I had a really small one in here, it'd be kind of interesting to have kind of a smaller one and facing inward this way. It'd have to be a really tiny one though, I think, to represent, the distance right here. So it'd almost be like these two are kind of looking at each other like that. It's going to, again, it would kind of create this little triangulated kind of visual path for people that are looking at the scene. And here's the other one with the restoration that took place on here. There was a big old kind of ripped areas right in there. You can see it right in this area right in here where when I spray sealed the thing, something, I don't know, I threw another piece on there and I didn't realize how wet this was still, and it's the two scenes adhered to each other. And it totally ripped off the top. This doesn't blend in really well. That gray ink kind of dried. It dried much lighter. Here, let me go over it with a little bit of another coating here. That gray almost kind of looks, it looks like a peachish gray, like pinkish gray for some reason now too. Yeah, damn it. Alcohol inks I didn't think would dry lighter. Maybe it's because I'm kind of applying this over the top of this sealant, this spray sealed scene. So I don't know, maybe it kind of wandered a little bit. I don't think it should though. But anyway, a little repair work on this. So those are my 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pieces that I've ever done, I think, that are 11 by 17, because I've never given any away because they're too big. They gotta fit like in an envelope. But here's that other one right here again, with the massive amount of tweaks, when it came to the paint pens on this one, that totally lifted this one, in terms of kind of the overall intensity and whatever color effectiveness on top of it. So, but I don't know. I probably applied about the equivalent amount of additional little dot textures on this one as like all 5 of those other ones combined, I think. Just because there's so much deciduous warm tones in here, and I can use a wider range of colors in this one than in a kind of more grayscale-ish type of finished piece. So anyway, that is it on that one. This one is still super wet in those little leaves in there, so I need to be careful I don't pile this. Did I already pile one on top of this? I don't know if I did. It's just gonna get spotted with white on the back of it. But those are some additional tweaks, and I think I'm done, for real on these 11 by 17 cards. Again, these are the only times I've really worked large like this. Rubber Stamp Madness ads used to be pretty large, and I used to take out a full page ad way back in the day. So I'd do some larger pieces like that, but they weren't anything close to the size of these 11 by 17s here. So yeah, I'm not really used to working on them, but I am now though. Oh yeah. I forgot about the monster maps too. And now with the art foamies, even though these don't require a lot of different objects, you can just repeat the same ones over and over again. I don't know. The art foam is just, in terms of scale on these types of things, it just makes it so much easier. So I'd say I'm much more comfortable with working on this large format. Now, if I can just kind of play around with stuff like the hybrid inks on this size or something like that, and really get that wired, that would be good. So I'll work with both the shades and the tints. Let's see. I think the scene might need a focal point in the center to break it up a bit. Yeah, that or shading. Oh, a dragonfly. That'd be cool. This, yeah. That would be a perfect little thing in here. I don't know where I'd put it though. I wouldn't want it just flying in there because maybe we can do something like a actual like a three pop up thing where you cut a piece out and throw it right over the top of it like that. But I'd still like the little frog eyeballs kind of sticking out of the thing there. What you do is you have a little frog that's got his eyeball right here sticking out of the water, and then you have the dragonfly or something like over here, creating this kind of visual tension within the piece. Yeah, but yeah, this is like it's like a backdrop for something. We can't use, unfortunately, we can't use the deer in here isn't going to work unless it's Land of the Giants, if anyone was familiar with that show. Or I just watched King Kong, the one by yeah, I forgot the director of Lord of the Rings, and there was that whole kind of world in there of like gigantic creatures and stuff. So I don't know, maybe that one it'd be like a you know I don't know, whatever Jurassic age, kind of foliage, and then you can have like a regular size types of things in here like that. Or I don't know, you know, anyone have that three-piece um, Loch Ness monster, right? Where there's like a tail piece, and then there's another body part, which you can stamp multiple times if you want coming out. And then there was the head. I think it was a three-piece set by some company way back in the day. So you have it like the tail here, another body part right here, and the head down here, and that would break it up. Let's see, vintage scrapbook. I love all the warm colors. I got my order of the Artistro acrylic paint pens. Oh, great. I use them all the time. Yeah. So just, keep in mind, I haven't had one of these pens clog on me, but that I like the quality of these pens these days because I think the chemistry of the paints are just right where they're not clogging and they're just they're just opaque enough to where I wish they were a little bit more opaque to tell you the truth, but I think if they have a smaller pigment to binder, which is water, ratio, maybe they would clog up more often, or there would be a danger of that. So they keep the ratio as is. So, you'll find it, if you're applying like little highlights, you'll add those little dots in there. So a lot of times they can look a lot lighter than what they look like when they dry. But then you can always apply more. That's better than looking lighter, you know, than what it looked like when you apply it, because you can always go lighter and lighter, with additional layers like that. Yeah, a frog or a turtle, something kind of like that. I like the idea of the bugs though. And I do have some flying bugs now that I think about it. I have like moths and stuff. But again, I don't know how well they would merge in with this. I might have to stamp them out with something else, and then you lay them over the top of it, like they're flying in here, right? But then it wouldn't match kind of from a tonal perspective, unless you kind of, I guess I can color it with the same type of media. Yeah, I don't know. We'll think of something for that. I'm not sure. Yeah, gator eyes. Have like a, like big ones sticking out like that or something like that. Oh, everyone's getting their stuff. The glossy paper arrives tomorrow. Phyllis, sounds good. Exciting times. You'll be set for you might be set for life, or I don't know, if you go really crazy with it, maybe you'll go through a ream of whatever. Did you say 250 sheets? Um, yeah. Well, there's your month's worth of supplies like that when you do the um, full page cards every day. Oh, fireflies. Huh. That is the best suggestion I've heard yet from me or anyone else. Let me see something here. I still think it might need, it might. The fireflies I tend to do fairly small, but maybe these can be some background fireflies in here. Let's see if this works right here. Okay, so what I do is I go with like a greenish tinge because that's what I've been taught. I don't have fireflies around in my area, so when I used to do it with white, because I only had a white paint pen, right? I didn't have greens and stuff like that. People would say, "Oh, you added a little green to that." So I don't know if I added some green. I added like a white dot, but maybe used a alcohol marker and made it green. But let me try something here. I'm just going to try something in the background. Then if I get bolder, maybe I'll add some more around in here. But again, it's not going to be like a focal point, though. We need something kind of like that, too. But I think the fireflies would give a nice texture potentially here. So let me try something here. Okay, so... Okay, these ones are going to represent some distant little flies. Okay. Okay, let's go like that. There's 6 flies right there. We'll make them glow here in a bit. Oftentimes when I apply the white pigment ink over the top of it, we lose the green. Then I have to kind of add that green back over the white again. That's with certain types of media, though, so I'm not sure on this one. We'll see how it goes. All right, so there's some right there. Okay. I one of the hardest things is to try to keep things a little bit more random looking at times. So, I'm kind of varying the kind of the distance in between some of these flies around, in here. Okay, so do you see them? It's like that. I think that already kind of looks kind of cool. All right, so if these things, if it works out and these things look pretty good, I guess the title of this piece will be Vintage Scrap Girls Flies. Okay, so let's see here. Okay. I need we're gonna start off with a nice new cotton swab. Okay, so I do have kind of a lime green color box ink, but I think... okay, let me grab that. Just in case. I don't think I want it that, this green right here. I don't know, maybe. We'll see how it works out with white. With white over the top of green, the little green dot. So maybe this will be the white element in here. I don't know. Element, not elephant. Okay, so blot it off a little bit, and let's make some of these flies glow a touch. Trying to get the right consistency on the tip of this. You have to kind of smash it down a little bit. Okay, that white to me... I blotted off a little bit. Okay, I'm going to go over the top of it with a little bit of green, so it's not going to look that white there. Because I don't see the green enough. Or maybe we'll use both, maybe. I'll try it with both. Maybe this is the one to do it, because everything is kind of greenish in tinge. Okay, there's one right there. I'm trying to recognize fly from highlight. I don't know if I've ever used this pen. It looks brand new. It's probably been open for 10 years, but I don't remember using it too much, if at all. Okay, so I'm going to use some of this over the top of it, and let's see how that goes. Or I might just go with the pen. You go with the pen, then white, then pen again, so it looks a little bit more green. Okay, here's what I'm noticing too. If I just go directly green, like if I just put green over this area in the background, well, let me see here. This area's darker. I mean, it shows up okay. I think that white one looks a little bit better. It's a little bit more contrast, but it can stand to use a touch of this greenish tinge over the top of the white, though, I think. Or maybe we do some with and some without, like that. Yeah, see this green one over here? Yeah, I don't know. That doesn't look too bad. Unless I go with green, then you go with the white over in the center of it, maybe? We'll see what combination here works. Here, I haven't really kind of delved into this too much before. Maybe you guys can see what you guys think here of a little experiment here. We'll find some combination that looks pretty good. All right, so that was that green right in that area. Let's hit that a little bit more. Okay, I can color that white, no problem if I need to. All right, this is getting all kind of totally frayed. Okay, let's see. Let's make an assessment here. All right. Those white ones in the back look totally different, but let me try adding a little tinge of white over the top of green here, where we did green over the top of white there. Oh, that was a little bit too much ink. Here, let me take some of that off. You can always take it off with your finger and just dab it right off. Here, let me blot this off a little bit. Oh, you know what this is? The color box ink too is oil based. So I see that oil kind of spreading. It's like leaving a little bit of a ring. So I'll spray seal this, and that'll kind of probably even that out a little bit and restrict that kind of spreading there when I'm done here. Okay, so that is that. And the Brilliance ink is a water based, so it doesn't have to really spread out like so. Okay, so anyways, here is that. Oh, these ones in here don't match anymore, so let me go with the green over the top of that again. Like that. All right, and let me try something here. Let me go. I don't know if you guys will be able to tell at all, but let me go with the lighter kind of center dot in here. Maybe not go with white, but I'll go with this little beige. I can't even tell if it's applying over the top of it. I think it's picking up some of the pigment ink in there. All right, so anyways, I got now, this isn't the focal point that we're talking about, but I just wanted some extra texture in there, and I think that did it pretty well. So now we just need that crocodile or frog or something like that, and I think it would make even more sense now visually. You know, it kind of puts us in that kind of, I don't know, that environment in there, but it did bring those areas to life like that. You know what I mean? In the background, the darker regions, you know, having that little kind of glowing light in the shadows like that kind of answered those problems in there. So, let's see. Yeah. Oh, Phyllis didn't Phyllis get, yeah, Phyllis got 8.5 by 11. Beavers would look good. Like a little beaver in there, huh, Jeannie? Bright green with bits of the gold acrylic pen. Oh. Now, what do you mean with that? Like the gold at the center of it, maybe? Let's see here. Now, this is not something where you're going to be able to see this at all, I don't think, but let me take this one. This one's a gold glitter pen right here. I like the idea of going out and looking at fireflies at night sometime, which I've, you know, never done because I'm not in one of those areas where they're around, or I've never visited either. But I want to do that. I've watched some like videos on YouTube. All right, here's a little bit of a glowing little gold speck in all of these. It's a little glittery gold speck. Yeah, I can kind of see it. When I hold this up at a little bit of an angle, it looks a little bit more three-dimensional, like in the corner of one of these. You guys can't see it because it's just like one little tiny dot. But again, there we go, you know. Some little swampy little area. I do want to work with kind of shallower spaces like this. I tend to like that. It gives this real intimate type of feeling, you know, this little pool of water or something like that. Not necessarily these colors, but like waterfalls or something like that, like a little bit of a stream where you're just looking at something and maybe the depth of your entire piece is like I don't know, could be, 5 feet or under or something like that, as opposed to whatever, you know, 5,000 mile, you know what I mean? Or whatever it is, like having the moon in there, you know what I mean? And we have a foreground or something like that using deep space. I want to do more of these kind of intimate little areas, of shallower depth like that. I think they're really fun to kind of play around with. But anyways, I like this piece a lot better now. I think it looks a lot more three-dimensional now too. So Vintage Scrap Girl, great idea with the fireflies. I think there's a lot more depth in here with the imagery, and I don't know. To me, there was a lot of like dead space in here where there was just nothing going on. So with area scenes that I have sky in, I tend to add like things like stars into it to bring a little bit of that in here. Light into dark, so I think it worked right here really well. We just need that crocodile chasing the beaver, scaring the dragonfly, going into the frog mouth in this scene. I think it will be done, with after that tweak. So, all right, folks. Thanks so much for joining in on this one, this vid. Okay, so see those little, my leaves in there. That acrylic paint pen, I don't know what it is. You know what I think it is? I think it's because it was, I think it's stamped on top of that leaf in there. That's the hybrid ink, okay? And the hybrid ink, like I said, it's like an oil-based fusion of oil-based and dye-based ink put together. So if we have this oil-based impression down here, this water-based acrylic ink is just not, it's having to dry strictly by evaporation as opposed to some absorption of the water into the pulp of the paper. I've talked myself out tonight or something. But we're done here anyway. So yeah. I love the fireflies in here. Thank you for everyone for their suggestions. If I had the other stuff in there, I'd give it a try. Vintage Scrap Girl hit it with the flies. So the scene is called Vintage Scrap Girl's Flies here. For this piece, we'll write it on the back and stuff, and that'll be the title of this this piece here. Yeah. Let's see. I would have always taken fireflies for granted. I thought everyone. No, well, yeah, we don't have them out here, out in the west. I don't think anywhere out in here in the west there's fireflies. Probably nothing. I don't know. Is anyone in Texas here? Is there fireflies even like in the south, like west of the whatever Mississippi? I don't think there are. And they're not like up north either, are they? They're not like anyone here in Wisconsin or like Maine, Michigan, something. You know what I mean? I don't know. Are they up that way? I don't even know where they are. Yeah. It's definitely intimate there, CM. Like I said, it's like a smaller space. You know what I mean? It's like it gives it more of an intimacy like that, and that's something that I just haven't done too much. I've thought about doing that much more over the years, but and I have a little bit. I'll do like a waterfall, and the scene will go back 10 feet or something like that. But yeah, just not enough of it. I need to do more of these pieces. And this piece like this too, this, I don't, it doesn't have to be 11 by 17, maybe, 8.5 by 11 or something like that. You can go with much more of scale and pushing depth and a much larger format, but it's kind of nice to, reduce the amount of scale and, something like this too. It gives you a little bit of a different feel, when playing around like this with it. So, and like I said, these 11 by 17s right here, the majority of the scene is just all the brookside boulders, and that's about it, with a bunch of foliage, leaves, I don't know, twisting leaves, and the reeds large. I don't think I even used the reeds small in here, but there's about 4, 5. There's 5 stamps in this. Just most of them just used over and over again in here. So, yeah. Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Vintage Scrap Girl, for the suggestion again. Thanks, everyone. Yeah, interactive piece, Linda. The interactive live stream here, where you all play a part in the creation of this piece. If the fireflies didn't work out, I wasn't worried about it, because I can always blame it on Vintage Scrap Girl. I'll say, hey, they made me do it. I'm just joking there. Oh, Florida has them. Yeah. I would imagine Florida. Warmer climates, right? Oh, yeah, you have them in Chicago. Okay. Fireflies in Texas and Illinois. Okay, got it. They're not. Yeah, they wouldn't be like in New Mexico, though, would they? That's probably like New Mexico, Colorado, and all that. I don't, Idaho. I don't know. Do they have them in there? East Coast down south a little. Okay. Northwest Arkansas. Yeah. I gotta imagine it's down there. And there's different types, right? Or are all kind of lightning bugs kind of that greenish glow type? It's all that kind of color. There's no like bluish. Are there did I see some photo somewhere where it was like a reddish one or something? I'm trying to remember. Or are there yellowish ones? I don't know. I need to look these up again. But these different types of colors fascinate me. I've always called them fireflies, but then everyone that has them, I always hear them calling them lightning bugs. I always got that Eric Carle book. He's known for like children's books. I think it was the title of that book. I haven't looked at it in a while, and I never had it, but I always buy it for people, with kids. It was called The Lonely Firefly, I think. And at the end of the book, you go to that last page, and it has one of those little battery packs with those little sensors. So you go like this, and there's this little blinking light for his fire. I can't remember the story of it too. It was. I think the lonely fireflies finds another firefly out there or something like that. And I don't know what happens, but both of them are now, they're glowing at the end, the last page or something like that. I used to get that one, and it was like a cricket book or clicky bug or something one, where you open it up and it starts doing this little sound effect in there. But in the Midwest, they're everywhere then. Okay. I got to see those. I got to get out there. And they're out. It's in summertime, right? 160 varieties. Okay. That's a lot. Yeah, I'm going to take a look. I'm going to look those up. I haven't looked up a firefly, YouTube video in a while, but I want to see some of those colors again. And then maybe we can apply it to our pieces. So anyone here on the Facebook group, is Jeannie on there, Linda, Firefly Challenge. Like that. Or maybe it should be more seasonal when we get around to it. Luminescent fireflies, lightning bugs have been seen in what? No. Santa Monica Mountains and the Laguna Mountains? Really? Because I've hiked in those areas, maybe not at night. I would now, if any, Laguna Mountain. I've been watching Laguna Mountain like all week here because I watch it when it's raining here and it's cold enough because I like there's a live stream of the Laguna Mountain Lodge. It's lagunamountain.com where I can see if it's snowing or not. But that shocks me that they'd been seen up there. There's all kinds of meadows up in those areas in there in the Cleveland National Forest. Uh, I gotta look that up though. I mean, that would be awesome, if they're up there. Maybe they have been seen in those Santa Monica Mountains when someone had them in like a jar that they ordered or something like that. So they have been seen in someone's like backpack walking around. I don't know. I've never seen anything like that. And I used to do a lot of nighttime hiking too. It'd be totally cool though. I don't know. I'll take a look at that. All right, everyone. Gotta run. Gotta get dinner started here. The kid, it's almost 9 o'clock. He works out sometimes from 7 to 9 over at the gym, and it takes him about a half an hour to get back. So I will get to that. Thanks so much for joining in. Enjoyed the conversation and ideas and whatnot. And thanks for joining me in, I don't know, I think, kind of improving on all these big pieces of mine from whenever they were done before, initially. So it was kind of fun putting some final touches on them and I don't know, watching them come to life a little bit, so yeah. All right. Let's see. Thanks, everyone. See you on the next live, hopefully. Venetian blinds installed today. Uh-oh. Sounds pretty good, though.